Hello YouTube, this is BD from BD Gaming channel and back at you with a different video this time around. So this is not about any video games. I've been watching some videos on YouTube made in the US, I believe, all of them, and they're titled like $10 challenge on a dollar store or something like that. $10 survival challenge on a dollar store or something similar to that. I was thinking to myself, hey, why aren't any of those videos made in Europe? Because, okay, US is not the only country that might get in some serious pinch. You know, the SHTF, the something hits the fan. Let's call it bluntly, okay? So I live in Europe, in a little country called Romania, and here an imminent threat would be a very big earthquake that could hit at any moment, unfortunately, because we had the last one about 35 years ago, and we are situated on a tectonic plate that moves a lot. Every year we get about 4 or 5 small earthquakes, but in a cyclic fashion we get one big one every 30 years or so. So we are now overdue for the big one. What this means is that at any moment, unfortunately, there could be a big earthquake here in Romania. So what that means is a lot of people are gonna get stranded. They'll have to rely on what they have on their pockets, so basically on their EDC, wherever they carry, and what money they'll have in their pocket to quickly buy some supplies so they can either live by for a couple of days before they can get back home or something like that. So this, we're talking about a serious situation, something that can actually happen. It's a pretty much immediate threat. We are already here in Romania testing our emergency alarms and stuff like that to see how fast we can get the population up to speed with a potential earthquake so they can get ready. But the best prediction would be something like 20-30 minutes before the actual event happen. We have some apps that we can install on our mobile phones. Also, if we have a radio set to AM band scale, we can actually get a notification from the, what's it called, National Emergency something. I can't remember exactly, so probably it's like distress call or something like that on the radio that, hey, you gotta get ready, 30 minutes, we'll have a big earthquake or something like that. So on that note, I thought to myself, hey, what would I do if I've been catch off guard with almost no EDC on me, and I only have a local store that I can go and buy some supplies so I can actually bug out of there, try to survive the earthquake, and then try to get home to my family. So in that effect, I'm starting to think about two type of survivor mentalities that I know of. First one is quite old. It's been used in the mountain rescue operations and Boy Scouts and mountain rangers and stuff like that. It's called the rule of three. If you don't know about that, you should check Sensible Prepper's channel, or Such. He's actually a very cool guy. He can explain this a lot better than I can. But basically, the rules of three means that you have 3 seconds without hope if you don't have any kit ready to help you, 3 hours without shelter, because that's how much time you're gonna get to live without, if you're exposed to extreme conditions and you don't have a shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So basically, this is the rule of three. Now, this kind of helps you a little bit, but to go a little bit even further and to actually get some good mentality on you and to get the actual items that you really need, you know, in your backpack and stuff like that. There's a different mentality, something that has been developed from historical observations and stuff like that by another great YouTuber and someone that has actually been in a lot of survival situation, and he actually had a couple of TV shows, and that would be Dave Canterbury's and his channel. So if you don't know about him, go take a look, because he developed a very good mindset for survivability and preparedness, which is called the 5 C's of survivability. I think I said it right, hopefully. And that means that at all times, to be prepared, you should have the 5 C's on you, 5 items, with backups to those 5 items, so you can actually survive in the worst conditions ever. And of course, the survival factor refers to 72 hours. After that, if you are not rescued and you cannot thrive, then you're probably gonna die anyway. But at least you have 3 days in which you can actually survive. So the 5 C's are basically cover, cordage, cutting tool, combustion device, and I think compass. I'm not sure. You should check his channel. But in these lines, I took a trip today to one of my local stores here that is pretty much has items that you can find in a dollar store or something like that. So I picked up some items, made a little kit, and stick around. I'm going to show you what I actually got. Shelter. Alright guys, thank you for sticking with me. So this is the actual items that I was able to get in this bag here, and this large water container here. So I'm going to unravel what's in this bag and talk about each thing and why did I pick it up. Alright, don't forget, I live in a country in Europe under the European Union rules and regulations, so this kind of changes a little bit what you can actually buy, what you can carry, on your person, and that's why even if you get hit by a natural disaster like a big earthquake and stuff like that, you're still not going to be able to bear arms or even full tank knives and stuff like that. Stupid regulations in some cases, in my opinion. But let's take a look at what we have here. All right, so for cordage at this store I couldn't find anything else than this very thin duct tape. It was actually €1. So euro is the local currency in Europe, okay? So €1, it's $1.2 or something like that. This has some length to it. I don't know if it says here how much exactly. Well, it doesn't, but it's a it is very similar to duct tape, only it's a lot more thinner, as you can see here. But you can do some work with this, and if you roll it up, you can actually create cordage with this, and you, in my opinion, have some 30 meters plus here. So you can do some stuff with this. And it was only €1, okay? Now, that's cordage. I will leave the food the last, and the stuff we have here. Let's look at the shelter elements that I was able to get. So, I guess everyone knows what this is, right? This is a drum liner, the biggest that they had in the store. This is actually the thickest material that I could find there. You need something like this. If you don't have any tablecloths, any shower curtains and stuff like that, or other kind of plastic liners, because it's very huge. It's 240 liters, and you have 5 of these here in this row. So this basically means you kind of get 2.5 shower curtains out of this if you know how to cut it, and you can actually make a nice cover for yourself. So this would be the first element for my shelter, alongside with the cordage. All right, so we'll do this here. Let me rearrange the camera a little bit here, something like this. Okay, see if this will stick. I guess it will. And then you will also need something to put beneath you, because otherwise, if you do not have enough layers of material underneath your body when you're trying to sit down, and you sit down directly on the ground, you're definitely going to catch a cold and die pretty soon, because sorry, the earth will create convection and heat conduction, and that's gonna kill you in the end. So to figure that out, I bought another pair of these. These are smaller size, 120 liters, but there's 10 of them, so you can actually unroll this, get this drum liners as they are, and fill them with leaves and place it beneath you. And when you lay down to sleep, you lay down to sleep on these, which will have a lot of leaves and a lot of, I don't know, whatever you can find, paper bags and stuff like that. And you're not going to sleep directly on the ground, and that's going to save your life. I can guarantee that. And also for the shelter / container, because you also need a container. I think this is what I forgot from the 5 C's, if I remember correctly what I recorded previously. This is aluminum foil used for cooking. It says it's highly durable. It's about 10 meters of it. So you can actually make containers out of this, so you can cook something on a fire, but you can also take some pieces of this, some sheets of this, and place inside your shelter in order to reflect the heat that you get from your body, but also from the fire. Alright, so this pretty much takes care of our shelter element, our cordage element. So we have cover, cordage, and also part of the container stuff, alright? So now let's see what else we got here. Something very important that you should never forget, and you should have redundancy for that, is combustion. Combustion devices that can ensure you or it will get you sure fire each time. Sure fire means a way to create flame in a second or less than a second. So for that effect, these are matches. As you can see, we have 10 boxes here. Each box has, I don't know, a lot of matches in it. I guess at least 50 matches or something like that. So we got a lot of ways to start a fire here. And the best fire starter, in my opinion, that you can ever hope to have is a candle. So I picked up this bag of 20 these little candles that in effect can, if you put one of these inside of your shelter, is going to equal, as per Morse Kohansky, one of these candles lit means in a proper shelter means another person near to you sharing with you their body heat. So if you imagine having 1, 2, 3 of these light up in your shelter somewhere safe, of course, because you don't want to burn your shelter down or get burned yourself. But if you fire 3 of these and during the night you have these 3 lit next to you, you'll have the body heat of 4 persons in your shelter because you're a person, and then you have 3 candles. So I think this is the best fire starter, fire igniter, fire keeper, whatever you want to call it. Alright, and it's really, really cheap. I mean, I paid for all of this maybe $2. So €1.50 or something like that, okay? So these two here take care of the combustion element, okay? One of the most important C's, combustion. Take care and remember that. Then you have to take care of yourself, of your body. You've been working a lot, you've created your shelter, you've started your fire by now. So you need to clean up a little bit before you start eating or drinking anything. So something like this that has 5 pieces, but you can find some with 15 pieces. So these are wet wipes that are also antibacterial. In case you got caught, it's not recommended, but you can most certainly use this to clean your wound and then seal up with something like this. Alright, if you don't have anything else on you, this is better than leaving that open and, you know, exposed. So this is very important. It's very cheap, first of all. You can get one of these for less than 50 cents. Alright, you can probably get 3 of these for $1. I only bought one. It has 15, actually this one has 15 pieces in it, so 15 wet wipes. 15 should be more than enough for you to take care of business for 3 days. Alright, so no way I was wasting more money on this, but it is important to have something like this with you at all time. Alright, so this is, you can consider it a comfort item, you can consider it a medical item. In any case, I thought you should really have something like this. Alright, so let's put this one here. Let's see what else we have here. And now, before we get to the food, of course, this is the biggest container that I could find. And it has 5 liters of water in it. So basically, is it a gallon or not? I don't know. You can figure it out for yourselves. But this is a 5-liter containers filled of natural spring water. It's clean, it's durable. You don't have to clean it. You have 5 liters with you for 3 days. I think that's more than enough. But in case you need more Well, and that's life because I wasn't able to find any type of steel or aluminum containers in this store. So you could try and manufacture a container out of this, as I said earlier. I don't know if it's going to work for water boiling. It's certainly, you can do something like a aluminum bag in which you can actually put some food in and warm it up over the fire, but I don't know if it's going to actually keep water in it, because I don't think it's that thick, as you can see here, but you can try that. In any cases, this particular store didn't have any kind of aluminum or steel container, so no metal containers found there. So this is the water element, all right? This big thing here, this big jug, it's going to ensure that you have water for the 72 hours that you're supposed to be out there in the elements before you get to your family or to get home or wherever you want to go. So it should be more than enough to sustain you for those 3 days. Now we are talking about food, because even though the rule of 3 says that you can go 3 weeks without food, that's true, you can survive, your body can survive for 3 weeks without ingesting any new food, but after 2 or 3 days you'll be so weakened you'll not be able to do anything. And if you have to build a shelter, maintain a fire, even carrying your stuff around and enduring cold weather, all of that things will burn calories out of your body. When your body will start losing fat, and no fat is going to be there to sustain those calorie loss, then you're going to start to lose protein out of your muscles, and that's, you don't want to go there. Trust me, that's one step before you're actually dying. You're starting to die, your body starts to die. So for food stuff, and here comes the aluminium stuff that you can make out of this. This is soya slices. This has no expiration date. All right, I can promise you that if you maintain this in this plastic bag, you can keep it 3, 4, 5 years maybe on a shelf, and this is not going to go bad. All right, you just have to keep it out of moisture and out of extreme heat. If you can do that, if you can keep it somewhere in 10 to 15 Celsius degrees, then you're fine with keeping this for several years. Alright, so I took 2 of these for $1. You have 2 meals here that is going to give you a lot of proteins. So this is the first element of our food. Then we have this fish, canned fish, that has a life shelf of 2 years. Okay, this will give you all the natural oils and I guess vitamins that you're going to need to sustain yourself in the wilderness scenario or cold weather scenario, right? So this is the second food item that I got. And then the last but not least, this is peanut butter. All right, and another container. This is glass, and if you're careful, I think you can put this on a fire to boil something in it. I'm not sure, I've never tried it, but in a pinch I probably would try to do that. All right, so basically everything that you see here cost me around 15 euros. Oh, I shouldn't forget about the bag. So I also got this bag. Alright, then you can actually cut this to strips and use it as cordage. Alright, Now, as I was saying, so let's put this as an item here as well, because this is very important actually. Alright, so everything that you see here on this table, on this display, alright, everything that is in here cost somewhere below 15 euros. I think it was like 12 euros or something like that. So let's say $15 all together. This store didn't have anything that I could use as a cutting tool, so I have no way to cover one of the 5Cs, alright, the cutting tool. However, let's think about this a little bit. Every time I walk down the street and I look down, I can see a nail, I can see a piece of metal, a can. I even have this can here, which the top comes off, and this top, even though it's quite thin, it's still metal and it's still quite, it has a pretty darn edge on it. How many times didn't you cut yourself opening one of these goddamn cans when you were a kid or something like that? So it does have an edge on it. You can fold this and use as a cutting tool. You can find something while you're walking, like a piece of metal, like a piece of wire, like a piece, like a nail, something that you can take, sharpen on a stone, and use as a cutting tool. So I'm not worried about that. I'm thinking, although in Dave's Canterbury mentality, cutting tool comes on the first place, I think for me that is maybe the last of the C's. Everything else that you see here, it's important for you, because you may not be skilled to use a cutting tool, or you may not be strong enough to use a cutting tool in different scenarios that you may be supposed to do. If, let's say, you would have a cutting tool with you but you don't have a container, then you will have to use that cutting tool to create the container, right, out of a tree stamp or something like that. So that being said, well, the store didn't have it, but I'm not too sad about it, because I was able to cover pretty much everything else. So this is kind of it about the so-called $10 challenge here in Europe at a local store, something similar to a Dollar Tree or something like that you can find in the US. Now, if my time will permit it, I will try to go outside and use all of this to create a shelter for myself and show you how to do that. Don't know if I can do that, but we'll try. So that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Always subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and thanks a lot for all the support that you give me. Bye bye.